My belief, just knowing the information that we have now, is that she was extremely frightened, and she probably was losing sleep. Her judgment became increasingly impaired, and she likely increasingly was fearful of something happening to her children and to her. And it was like, well, the best I can do is take everybody out of the equation. And the general accepted theory of paranoid schizophrenia has to do with a biological factor of oversensitivity to a certain neurotransmitter called dopamine. And that itself tends to produce hallucinations and delusions, disorganized thinking. You know, most often these folks are not violent. They will often be quite effectively treated through medication that blocks this dopamine reception. However, the biggest issue is they tend to go off the medication. It's I describe it for my students like this. It's like, hey, I'm doing pretty well now. I don't need medication. You need medication when you got symptoms. You need medication when you're sick. And one of the things that I'm not clear about is whether or not there was ever a referral to Children's Protective Services. The ball may have been dropped with that, because you look at those darling little children, you know, and it tears at your heart, and you're thinking, how can this happen? But being angry at her allows us to sort of just put it up on a shelf and say, oh yeah, that was some crazy lady. I don't expect people in general to understand it, because it's not really understandable to the normal mind. What do we do for people with severe mental illness? But even beyond that, what do we do for their kids? What do they say about terrorism? If you see something that troubles you, say something. It seems that this is a kind of terror that must have occurred in that home. And if you suspect something, you need to say something.